In this edition of Vinyl Haul, I've got quite a bit of death doom this month. I also have a traditional metal record, a power metal record, and a record that defies categorization to some degree, though it definitely falls within the metal genre. So you know what you need to do? You need to stick around. First up is the fourth studio album from international heavy doom rock band Lucifer. This is 4, released in 2021 by Century Media Records. So Lucifer have once again brought us their brand of retro-flavored occult rock, though I think this time we're getting a bit of a darker and bluesier approach to their music. It's also a bit heavier at times than previous albums. Of course, we're also getting the haunting and seductive vocals of Johanna Sedanis. Though in the production, it sounds like her vocal delivery is a bit more raw. I'm kind of getting that from it. It works well with this material. Also, and I don't think I'm imagining this sounds kind of like a doom rock version of Heart. 70s Heart in particular. I don't think that's an accident. You know, Heart was pretty big in the 70s. They had female vocals, and Johanna does love the 1970s to a great degree. I think this record reflects that, and others as well that Lucifer have done. So, yeah. Vinyl variant is 180 gram glow in the dark vinyl, limited to 500 copies. And yes, I did test it, and yes, it does glow in the dark. Also have a lyric insert in here, both sides, as well as a little bit of credits down below. Some favorites from this one I've got. Let's see, definitely Bring Me His Head, great song, probably my very favorite song on this album. Also, Mausoleum is pretty cool, and Cold as a Tombstone. There are music videos from this album, one for Bring Me His Head, as well as Crucifix, I Burn For You. There's also a lyric video for the track Wild Hearses. You can find all of that at the Century Media YouTube channel. I also should mention that this variant, the glow-in-the-dark variant, is only available at the band's web store. It is a second pressing, so it doesn't come with a CD like most Century Media first pressings. So if you're into CDs, you're out of luck. Definitely digging this album. I have all of the Lucifer albums. I think this one is just as satisfying as the other three, though I really do dig this even darker path they're going down, in sound as well as lyrics. So definitely satisfied with this one. You should check it out. Next is the second studio album for British death doom band Enchantment. This is Cold Soul Embrace, released in 2022 by Cosmic Key Creations. So this is the first Enchantment album we've gotten in 28 years. Again, this is their second album, following 1994's Dance the Marble Naked. Some might be wondering, was this worth the wait? Well, I'm going to spoil it for you by saying that the answer is yes. So Enchantment's brand of death doom is certainly dirgy at times, with strains of melody and sadness. You also get some spoken word moments amidst the death metal growls. Also some occasional moments of up-tempo pummeling riffs. But this album is heavily dominated by a sort of slow coldness. I think that's reflected in the title as well. It is Cold Soul Embrace. I also see it in the cover art quite a bit. You have this beautiful woman. You got a figure of beauty, but if you look down here, she's chained to the ocean floor, which is, let's say, rather sad. So I like the juxtapose of the image on the cover as well. It also reflects the music within. Vinyl variant for this one is 180 gram double mint green / transparent blue vinyl, limited to 500 copies. It's a nice looking variant for sure. Also have an insert here with some pictures of the band, as well as some credits, and some really cool liner notes. If you're interested in a brief history of the band, it's right here. Definitely cool. Also on the reverse, we have some shots of some band flyers and some memorabilia. I really love when older bands do this. They give you a bit of visual history to them. I think that's kind of important, actually. So very cool seeing this. I do have some favorites on this one. Obviously, we have to mention A Swan-Like Duet. Great song. Also have Glorious Vistas Forgot, as well as The Beauty of Liars. In fact, I can't pick which of those three I love the most. All three of them are really great, and you should check them out. We do have some lyric videos. They're in two different places. The first one is As Greed as the Eye Beholds, which is also a 12-inch single pre-release. If you're looking for more Enchantment, you should track that one down. That's found at the Enchantment Death Doom YouTube channel. And there's also one for Of Glorious Vistas Forgot, and that one is available at the Transcending Records YouTube channel. And since this is album number 2, I do want to briefly compare this to their previous album. Again, Dance the Marble Naked from 1994. I definitely feel there's a real step up in production on this record. It's undeniable if you compare the two. Also, the vocals on this record are admittedly quite a bit better. I don't think they're slouchy on the first record, but you can hear a vast improvement on here. In fact, I really feel that overall there's a real sense of maturity going on here. Maybe those last 28 years served the band pretty well because every track just sounds better than the last. So while the debut album really does have some charm to it, I feel this new record comes through on all levels. Definitely recommending it. So Death Doom fans, take note. Enchantment is back. Next up is the third EP from Danish death metal band Baest. This is Justicia, released in 2022 by Century Media Records. So on this one, we get 4 new tracks as well as a cover tune. And musically speaking, the one thing I hear right away is that they've slowed down the pace a little bit. I'm good with that. I don't think a band needs to go a million miles an hour on every song. And the variety does help things out quite a bit. It works here. It works everywhere where it works. There's my logic. So anyways, we do have some guest vocals on this one. On the title track, we have aborted vocalist Sven de Calloway. We also have the late Trevor Sternad of the Black Dahlia Murder on the song Gargoyles. And we also have, like I said, a cover song. It is at the end of the record called Second to None. This is an Entombed AD track. Pretty cool. Unfortunately, the vinyl version is missing an instrumental version of the song Genesis, a song that is on their previous LP, with lyrics, of course, but this is an instrumental version. But if you get the initial pressing of this album from Century Media and you get the CD with it, Genesis instrumental version is on here. But that's where it is, and you're not going to find it on the vinyl. Vinyl variant for this one is Orange Black Marble, limited to 500 copies. This is also a European variant. We also have an insert with full lyrics right there, as well as some great live shots of this band. I would love to see Baest live. That'd be incredible. Great band, if I haven't already mentioned that before. Of course, I do have some favorites as I try to get this in here. I definitely love Ecclesia, great song, as well as Gargoyles. Speaking of Gargoyles, there is a visualizer video for that track. There are also music videos for Ecclesia and Creature, and you can find all of that at the official Century Media YouTube channel. So in some might remember, I had some deservedly awesome things to say about this band's previous release. They did a full length before this called Necro Sapiens, and I'm really not going to change my opinion on this band one iota. This is a great little release. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they put out after this. Next is the debut EP from Danish heavy metal band Denner Sherman. This is Satan's Tomb, released in 2015 by Metal Blade Records. Of course, the namesakes of this band are none other than Michael Denner and Hank Sherman, who are the guitar duo during the classic era of Merciful Fate. But I did want to talk about some points that will differentiate this band from that band, because there are some things to mention. First is the vocalist, Sean Peck. He is from the band Cage, but he was also in the Three Tremors, along with Harry Conklin of Jag Panzer, as well as Ripper Owens of KK's Priest, formerly of Judas Priest as well. I do mention that because there is some Ripper Owens style singing here. I think Owens is the better singer, but this guy isn't a slouch. He does deliver quite a bit, but the style and delivery have that sort of Ripper Owens sound. So we do get those classic lead trade-offs between Denner and Sherman in the guitar department, but I don't feel that raw tonal charm from those early Merciful Fate recordings is there. They don't need to be necessarily. Again, this is a different band. I do hear a little bit more power than sort of gothic style guitars. So if you're expecting that Merciful Fate sound, again, you're probably not going to get it here. Production should also briefly be mentioned. It's very polished compared to previous efforts from these guitar players, but it is heavy. I don't think it lacks in that department at all. We should also talk about this cover art while I'm holding this up. This is Thomas Holm. He was also the artist for Melissa and Don't Break the Oath, 2 Merciful Fate album covers. So there's a tie between the two bands, at least there. From what I read, King Diamond had a bit of an issue with them using Holm. Maybe that certain style of painting he wanted to have a bit of a monopoly on. I don't know. I'm not in King Diamond's head, but I know there was a bit of an issue there with that. But There it is. Vinyl variant for this one is flame splattered vinyl. Really nice. Really loving this variant a lot. There's the artwork on the sides there as well. Also have some other things in here. We've got an inner sleeve, pictures of the band, and some credits. Also have the lyrics to all 4 tracks on the reverse. We also get a poster that's a pretty good size poster. In fact, I'm hoping to be able to get it all in shot, and I'm sure the light will screw with me big time. But there it is, of the album art. Very, very nice. I do want to go through some favorites on this EP. I definitely dig War Witch. I think that's my favorite song on here, as well as Seven Skulls. There is a music video for Satan's Tomb. You should check that out at the official Metal Blade Records YouTube channel. So if you like bands like KK's Priest, you're probably going to dig this one as well. And again, do not expect a duplication of Merciful Fate. You're not going to hear it, despite the similarity in album art. This band did do a full-length release after this, and then they broke up around 2018. Hank Sherman is back in Merciful Fate. He's still there, in case you didn't know that. Really do want to hear that full-length release. I think this has gotten me interested in that. So yeah, this is a pretty decent little EP. Next up is a compilation of early demos and live tracks from British, then Death Doom metal band Paradise Lost. This is Drown in Darkness, the early demos, originally released in 2009, but now reissued in 2022 by Napalm Records. So classic lineup for all 3 recordings, including original drummer Matthew Archer, who left after their 4th album, known as Icon. We got some great lyrics here, some early flyers. There's also a write-up here by Nick Holmes about the early days of Paradise Lost. That's pretty cool to hear about. And of course, the track listings on the back. So the first demo on here is Paradise Lost from 1988. There's 3 tracks. They are a bit lo-fi and raw sounding. The recording is raw, but also the performance is. You can kind of hear where this band is going, though. They don't have their established sound yet. They are still quite death metal at this point. I'm liking them to almost Autopsy at this point. That seems a proper analog, but yeah, again, you can hear where they're going. I think this recording's okay. I think the way they're playing, I don't know, I like their more established sound that comes immediately later. But yeah, it's more of a curiosity. I like the rest of the record a bit more than this part of it. Second demo here is the Frozen Illusion demo from 1989. 3 tracks here as well. Definitely a cleaner sound overall, much more listenable. Still not hearing that gothic sound from Paradise Lost yet, but you are hearing some of the moody riffing and soloing that's kind of trademark Paradise Lost. So we're hearing the early beginnings of that. That's pretty cool. Again, I like to hear the progression from each recording. You definitely get that on here for sure. Third recording here is live in Liverpool, 1989. It takes up 2 sides of a second record. 6 songs total. The sound quality varies quite a bit. The vocals are louder than the rest at times. I don't think it's too distracting, but it's pretty noticeable. Also, the playing is a bit loose, and I'm definitely hearing this Celtic Frost influence. I don't know if it's so much in the raw playing or some of the song structuring, but I'm definitely getting quite a bit of that. So yeah, it's really nice to hear some live material from them as far back as 1989. I think it's the real gem on this record. Vinyl variant for this one is 2 LP classic black. Labels on record 2 are basically reverse colors of this, in case you're wondering. Do have some favorites, definitely. In the Frozen Illusion demo, I'm digging Internal Torment, as well as the song Paradise Lost. For the live set, Plains of Desolation is great, as well as Nuclear Abomination. There are no music videos for this title, though if you go over to the Century Media YouTube channel, there's a trailer for this release. It's footage taken from the 2007 documentary on Paradise Lost called Over the Madness. You should definitely check that out because I really feel it's a nice companion to this album. So I think it's fair to say that if you're a fan of Paradise Lost, particularly the early material, think Lost Paradise in particular, you're going to want to get this. This is a great moment of this band's history, right here. Next is the 3rd studio album from American power metal band Ironflame. This is Blood Red Victory, released in 2020 by Metal World. Of course, this is one of many bands featuring the vocalist Andrew Dacagna. He's also in Icarus Witch, and New Chachwin, and Brimstone Coven, and a whole lot of other bands. I think a few more bands, and it'll probably be the Raga Johansson of power metal. I kid, but I'm making the point, he's in a few bands. So from what I've heard from this band before, this album has a bit more punch than previous releases. I think there's a lot of great melody and guitar harmonies going on, some solid songwriting as well. One pattern I did notice about the tracks is that there's the fast song and then the mid-pace and the fast and the mid-pace. I like that. It changes things up a little bit. And it wouldn't have made sense to have all the fast stuff on one side and the slower stuff on the side B. That would have been ridiculous. So kudos to them for changing it up a bit. Also, I am hearing a bit of both US and Euro power metal going on here. I think the best of both. And that's coming from someone who usually only prefers the US variant. And I do like this album quite a bit, so I'm pretty satisfied. And there it is. Vinyl variant for this one is blood red marbled vinyl, limited to 200 copies. There. They are hand-numbered copies. If you look at the back of the record, you will see I got number 96 of 200. Also have an insert with full lyrics here. And a great picture of the band on the back and some credits. Also get a small, I was going to say 8x10, but it's not so much that. Nice little promo glossy of the band inside as well. Definitely have favorites, as I always do. Gates of Evermore, the opening track, is probably my very favorite song. Also, Blood Red Cross is pretty cool. Graves of Thunder and Grace and Valor. You should check out all 4 of those tracks. There is a lyric video for Seekers of the Blade. You can find it at the Clawhammer PR YouTube channel. And I almost forgot, it does come with a bonus CD here called In Remembrance. It is a 5-song collection of cover tunes from bands like Uriah Heep, Rainbow, Scorpions, Styx, and Rocky Erickson and the Aliens. In fact, you can check out the track listing there, take a quick freeze. It's pretty cool. So obviously I saw these guys back in June as part of the Stormbringer Metal Festival in Worcester, Massachusetts. In fact, I made a whole video on it. You should definitely check that video out after you watch this one. Definitely the reason why I bought this album. I bought it right at the merch table at that show. Very cool. So now that I've heard this album, I'm very much interested in checking out their back catalog as well as their upcoming new album. That's out right about now. I think it's out. At least digitally it is. I think the vinyl is delayed, but yeah, pretty excited to check it out. Good stuff. Next is the 4th studio album from American death doom band Temple of Void. This is Summoning the Slayer, released in 2022 by Relapse Records. So it might seem a little strange to say that this album is both melancholic and catchy, but those are the facts. Of course, you get that crushing doom and groove you've come to expect from previous releases. That's not missing at all. This album does sound a little bit more accessible, though, from those earlier albums, especially the first 2. This is produced by Arthur Risk, by the way. I don't know if that matters to you. Sometimes it does. I don't feel like this band has lost anything by adding extra musical textures to their music, and we're going to get a little more detailed about that later. I know some people are a little down on that. I'm not. I think it sounds really great, still heavy, still doomy, still Temple of Void. Vinyl variant for this one is 3-color merge with splatter, limited to 300 copies. Really nice variant, like this one a whole lot. Also have a nice gatefold design. I forgot to show it before, but I should show it some more. Ola Larson is the artist this time around. We had Adam Burke before, and some others before that. They do a different artist every time, but some amazing work here. Really cool. Album also comes with an insert. We've got a picture of the band, a fairly blurry picture of the band, as well as some credits and all of that, and full lyrics on the back. Some favorites, definitely Death Touch right away, my favorite song on this album. Also, Hex, Curse, and Conjuration is an amazing song. And I've just really started to grab onto the Transcending Horror as another favorite track on here. Pretty cool. There is a video for Death Touch. There's also a audio track for Hex, Curse, and Conjuration, as well as another one for the Transcending Horror. You can check all of that at the Relapse Records YouTube channel. While we're talking about songs in general, I should also mention the final track. It is Dissolution. It is completely musically different from everything else on the album, and some people have a little bit of a problem with that. I do not. There's kind of this 70s prog acoustic thing going on, mixed with maybe some of the trippier elements of early Black Sabbath. Think Planet Caravan for those weird vocal effects. I really dig it. I think it's an interesting way to end the album. I like it because it's odd, but I think it ends the album pretty well. Your results may vary on it. I know there's some people who don't like it because it's musically very, very different from the rest of the album. But again, no problem with it. And in fact, I like it. Given some of that, some listeners might prefer the first 2 albums, which are more straightforward death doom to some degree, a lot more death metal in some cases. I really like this album. I like that they're branching out a little bit more. They started doing it on the album before this, The World That Was. You could see subtle signs of that branching out. I think this album is a progression from that. And I'm sensing they're probably going to do a lot more of this. So if you like this album, if you like the last album as well, and you like that direction, I don't think you're going to have much of a problem at all. I really like what they're doing here. So really enjoying this album with repeated spins, and I don't think it's too far-fetched that we might see this on my 2022 end-of-year best albums list. It might be in the top 10, it might be in the honorable mentions. We'll see. The year's still young, but it's a pretty good album. I'm pretty impressed. Next is the 14th studio album from French avant-garde black metal band Blut Aus Nord. This is Disharmonium, Undreamable Abysses, released in 2022 by Debumor Morty Productions. So before I talk about the album, I just want to talk about the packaging a little bit here. This is actually a slipcase. It's not the actual art. This is alternate art to the album. If you slide this off, you get the actual artwork here. Pretty amazing, pretty involved. Very Lovecraftian, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. It does have a gatefold with very minimalist artwork compared to the cover, to put it mildly, and track listings on the back. And I think, like many, I'm probably going to have a slightly difficult time categorizing this band. They have been different from album to album. They do have some commonalities in their catalog, though. This album is definitely minimalist at times. It's industrial at other times. It's very much atmospheric at still other times. And then sometimes it's all 3 of those things. There is black metal in here, but it feels more like an added flavor than an actual dominant sound. It's way more atmospheric, probably even more atmospheric than some of the atmospheric black metal I've heard. It's pretty interesting. I think if you don't like black metal, you might still like this album. Again, heavy on the atmosphere. Vinyl variant for this one is Purple Translucent. Pretty amazing color, actually. Goes well with the artwork. We also have an insert here, very minimalist insert with some artwork, and much the same on the reverse. And we also get a poster, pretty cool double-sided poster. It has both artworks on it, depending on which one you like. Maybe it'll be this one, or maybe it'll be this one. Whichever one you choose, pretty cool. As for favorites, definitely the opening track, Chants of the Deep Ones, is pretty amazing. Also, Tales of the Old Dreamer and Keziah Mason. There is a visualizer video for Tales of the Old Dreamer, as well as an audio track for That Cannot Be Dreamed. You can find both of those at the Debumor Morty Productions YouTube channel. So Blut Aus Nord has made an album that definitely has a sort of spectral and otherworldly darkness to it. I think brutal soundscapes might also be an apt descriptive. It's also clearly influenced by H.P. Lovecraft, especially with some of these titles like Chants of the Deep Ones, Tales of the Old Dreamer, That Cannot Be Dreamed. In fact, I think this would be interesting background music to reading H.P. Lovecraft. You just have this in the back and read those stories. They're pretty amazing. I love Lovecraft. I love Lovecraft. How's that? Anyways, definitely getting a lot of repeated spins, and I'm definitely digging this album a whole lot. So those are the albums I got this month. I'm sure you bought some albums as well. You should let me know in the comments which ones, how much you like them, how much you hate them. Definitely all of that. Also, if you have any music recommendations for me, maybe you saw something in what I shot here today that reminded you of other bands, other albums. Also let me know that in the comments. Anything else relevant is also welcomed. Guess where? In the comments. And of course, if you're new to my channel, my name is Matt. This is the Accusation Network, where each and every week I do videos on metal vinyl collecting. I also do videos on classic and modern metal bands in general. If you like the sound of that, you should definitely subscribe to my channel, give this video a like, and also share it with some of your friends. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.